Once you've satisfied your hunger, get ready for more of the hottest casino games in Vegas. Our 24-hour, 30-table non-smoking poker room proudly hosts all the most popular poker games with a variety of betting limits. Visit the poker room for a schedule of daily tournaments. Whether you're going to hold 'em or fold 'em, the best place for poker is at South Point Casino. You'll notice that our craps tables are usually the loudest in the casino. If you've never played, join one of our free craps lessons to find out what makes this game so exciting. Check with the craps dealer for schedules and give it a roll. Bingo is also an exciting way to spend your time. We offer 7 sessions of bingo every day. And each session includes a cash ball jackpot, 12 bingo games, a progressive double action game, and a $10,000 bonus coverall. Electronic units are available. If you haven't played bingo with us, give it a try today. Guests can also get in on the action at our one-of-a-kind race and sports books, 2 separate rooms designed to maximize your experience and comfort. Our sports book, with over 400 seats, puts you right in the middle of the action, 24 hours a day. The friendly ticket writers are happy to help, and it's conveniently located next to the famous Del Mar Deli, where you'll find supersized portions of delicious deli items like roast beef, pastrami, and Reuben sandwiches, or soups, salads, and pizza, plus spectacular desserts fit for a king. And right next door is the race book, over 150 seats, each with its own TV screen. There are 16 interactive player terminals, so you can bet right from your seat.
Day of October means it's Halloween, everyone. That's why I'm in a hockey jersey. I'm Jeff Parles. Happy to be with you. Sean's here. Ryan's here. I thought Ryan was dressed as something else going into this morning. All he needed was his Bible in his hand. Sorry, you're right. The Book of Mormon. How could I get that wrong? That's horrible by me. That's you know what? That's a $5 fine for me. I'm gonna put the $5 on the desk here, right there. There we go. Yeah, that's a fine. Ryan just needs his book to pull off the look. Sean, taking new levels of creepy. Sean here this morning. Do you have the shot of you back there or no? No, we don't. That's a shame. Sean's got the Scream mask on. You can just envision it forever. Or if Sean just wants to walk up here at any point and really terrify everyone, we could do that as well. All right. On the show today, we look at Thursday Night Football. There's one college game that's really not any good, and then there's an NFL game that I think is going to be the biggest edition of Square versus Sharp that I think we'll see in this NFL season with the Jets hosting the Texans, some NBA action. Oh, and one of my favorites, Steffi Smalls will join us. Oh, there it is. You know what? You should just do that now. There's Ryan dressed as Elder McCormick this morning. And Sean with the mask. Very good. Very good. All right. I still have my I still gotta get my fine there. I won't be able to find the golden plates anytime soon, that's for sure. All right, let's go to it. Let's go to tonight's game in the NFL. Let's start there. And all right. We've made it to game day, and the Jets are still favored in this game. Losers of 5 in a row. 2-6 overall, in the midst of, even by Jet standards, a debacle of epic proportions. And yet here they are, they're favored against a team that right now is in total command of the AFC South, has the inverse, I should say, of the record at 6-2. And here you are tonight with the Texans as 2-point favorites in this game, as 2-point underdogs in this game, and a total of 42.5. And I know, because I feel like every square better I know this week, except for Sean. Sorry, I've made that joke twice now at Sean's expense. Sorry. Has texted me this week and asked me, Jeff, why are the Houston Texans an underdog in this game? And you know, this is not by accident that this number is the way that it is here tonight, where the Jets, despite their disaster, their 5 straight losses, they're looking like one of the worst coach teams I've ever seen in Jet history now, even after Robert Saleh was let go. You have the Houston Texans injury report tonight. It is a mess because it doesn't even involve the fact that Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs aren't playing because they're both on IR. Diggs' season is over with was that officially an ACL tear, Ryan? Yeah, an ACL tear for Diggs. And Collins is still out with his injury. Probably another week or two for Collins. This is his fourth consecutive game missed now. And then you look at the defensive injuries. Now, there's looking like they're going to be a little bit healthier in the secondary because Lassiter, who didn't play last week, looks like he's going to play this week. The number 2 corner behind Stingley. Jimmy Ward's out, though, starting safety. And Al-Shahir, who still kind of amazing Al-Shahir didn't get ejected for punching the guy on the Bears week 1. He's out as well in this game with a knee injury. Hasn't played in a few weeks now. So that's 2 key components of Houston's defense. And they're not playing in this game. And then you take out, look, I like Tank Dell, but he's their number 3 wide receiver who now vaults to the number 1 guy here in this game. It's not what you're looking for here. Also, Henry Tua as well on the injury report tonight. Looks like he's going to be okay, though. Still needs to get 100% cleared through concussion protocol. They still have Will Anderson. They still have Danielle Hunter, though. And Houston, who has had a very successful pass rush, should have a good shot at being able to have a good night against that Jet offensive line where Tyron Smith has been as bad as any left tackle in football so far this year. He looks old. Father time's undefeated. We know this. The rest of the Jet offensive line is kind of fun.
Disaster! What a bad idea!
Hey, not doing it every time, but surprising me on that might not be a bad idea because we would be. I think everyone would be tired of Eric Collins if we did it every single time they're mentioned because they're playing tonight. Eric Collins from Fox Sports 1 on that unbelievable drop that should be used by every radio station in the country at this point. But when push comes to shove here tonight, this line has moved up. Chris and Company opened at 1. It did move the Texans 1 for a little bit, and then it's been a steady climb since then to New York 2 in this game. The Jets, in the midst of this 5-game losing streak, I hate to say it, have been a little bit unlucky. Now, they've lost 4 of these 5 games by 1 score. That usually indicates if you get about, and again, we've seen it. If Greg Zuerlein, who's going to be out tonight, they put him on IR, really, instead of releasing him so he can get paid the rest of the year, as a nice solid to Zuerlein, who's indirectly or directly, whatever way you want to put it, has cost the Jets 3 games with missing kicks. Missed a kick at the end against Denver, missed a PAT and a field goal last week in that debacle in New England, and then missed 2 kicks against Buffalo in a game the Jets lost by 3 points. So with the correct bounces of the ball, the Jets could be 5-3 right now, which would then be a totally different conversation going into this game. The other counter to that is that Aaron Rodgers is old and finished, despite looking for, what was that, hot water and cayenne pepper this week? Then Aaron Rodgers is looking for the fountain of youth, whatever nonsense that's coming out of Aaron's mouth at this point. Tyron Smith has looked old at tackle. And most importantly, the Jet defense the last 3 weeks since firing Robert Saleh has been bad. I don't care that they held New England under 300 yards. I don't care that they did a good job against Josh Allen in the second half against Buffalo. I don't care that they look good for 27 minutes against Pittsburgh. They have been bad. You don't let Jacoby Brissett throw it down your throat at the end of the game like that. You don't let Russell Wilson and company put up, what was that at the end of the game? It was 15-3, 32-0 run to end the game for Pittsburgh 2 weeks ago. The Jets are a mess, but I do like them tonight because I think this is the biggest square versus sharp game we are going to see this NFL season, where everyone on your street corner, the people handing out candy, the trick-or-treaters tonight, they're going to be on Texans' money line because why wouldn't they be? A team that's 6-2 against a team that's 2-6, and I'm getting a plus price on the money line. Sign me up, most people will say. But this is one of those where you hold your nose. And the Jets have given you no reason to back them in this game or in any game, in all honesty, of late. But I like New York tonight. I bet money line earlier in the week at -120. That was the number I got. I like the Jets tonight. Aaron Rodgers, his best game of the year came on a short week. It's almost actually works for the Jets, the short week. Not enough time to think too much to get ready for this game. I like New York tonight. Ryan and I will have a bigger breakdown with all the props in this one as well. And also, one other note, too. The Jets and the Texans played each other last year. Now, I don't want to take a lot from this game a year ago, but that game, C.J. Stroud left with a concussion. Texans couldn't block in that game. And the Jets scored 30 points in the second half of that game with Zach Wilson at quarterback. Now, Houston's defense is significantly better. I get it. Better pass rush. But Jets had C.J. Stroud's number a year ago in a not quite a similar situation, but it was a cold, rainy night or afternoon that day in East Rutherford. Tonight, the weather is shocking. Wow. I knew it was going to be warm. I didn't realize it was going to be a high of 82 today in East Rutherford. Wow, only about 20 degrees warmer than it's going to be here today, actually. So they are unseasonably warm weather tonight at MetLife Stadium for this game for the Jets and the Texans. All right, the other game on the board tonight is a college game. It is not a particularly good college game, but it does involve a team that is, to me, in the playoff mix, and that's Tulane. And you may be thinking at home right now, really, Tulane's still in this thing? Yeah, they are. Because if the Green Wave win out, that would include an undefeated year in the AAC. They'd win the AAC title in that regard. They'd be 11-2, with their only two losses coming to Kansas State by a touchdown, where Kansas State might make the playoff. They might win the Big 12. Now, in retrospect, losing to Oklahoma by 15 points doesn't look too good. And giving Oklahoma 34 looks real bad. But if Boise State slips up in a Mountain West title game, and it is 2-loss Tulane against 2-loss UNLV, or if somehow Colorado State makes it through undefeated into the Mountain West title game and then wins the Mountain West by accident, then you're down to basically it having to be the AAC champion, if that would be the case. Now, I know an 11-2 UNLV team would have a really good argument against Tulane because they won against Kansas, of course. They won against Houston on the road, 2 Big 12 wins on the road for UNLV, and Tulane lost their one game against a Big 12 team at home. Tonight, this has been Charlotte action. 16.5 down to 15 on this game. Now, Biff Poggi, the coach at Charlotte, has been a slow little build for the 49ers. Last week was a step in the right direction. They only lost to Memphis by 5. That game was tied at halftime. So it was a step in the right direction for that team. Now, if you look at the numbers in that game, they actually out-yarded per play Memphis. The difference in the game was 1 extra turnover for Charlotte. And Memphis also had the ball a lot more plays, 80-52. So Charlotte's defense got tired out in the end. Now, for Tulane, you look at this game tonight, and you look at the remaining schedule. The next 2 games, you're playing bottom feeders, including tonight, bottom feeders in the AAC. You get Charlotte tonight, and then they get Temple, who's one of the worst teams in the country, next week. Or I guess technically, yeah, that is next week. Then, to end your regular season, you play 2 massive competitors who are fighting for the AAC title game, just like Tulane. They go to Annapolis to take on the Midshipmen of Navy, and then they go host Memphis. 2 big games to end the season for Tulane. These games right now, including tonight, got to be handling your business games for Tulane. Now, I'm curious to see where this number goes because there's a few 14.5s in the market. Of course, the South Point behind us at 15. If you see a flat 2 touchdowns at 14, this is a lay with Tulane. Now, I would not go north of 14 on the road in a conference game, but this is an offense where last week, 8 yards per play against North Texas, dominant showing even on offense. They only ended up winning that game by a touchdown. But they've had their struggles at times. They struggled to move the ball against Rice. They struggled against Oklahoma. But for the most part, this has been a dominant offense. 7 yards per play against UAB earlier in the year in a 71-point outing. South Florida, they really put it on them. 7 yards per play. Other than that Rice game, when they see inferior opponents, Tulane usually puts it on them. So it would not be a shock at all to me if this is a Tulane multi-score win. 3 touchdowns, something in that pocket, but I would wait to see if we can get a 14 on the number for this one here tonight, with all these great college games coming down the stretch here, because boy, we are really getting there as well at this point. By the way, chat is open as always. Dean Hilt's in there. Good morning, Dean, or afternoon, or wherever you may be right now. Always happy to see you in there. This is the nitty gritty now. We're basically in November. It'll be a lot of fun to see what happens down the stretch here in college football. All right, we'll hit a 2-minute break here, Sean. When we get back, Steffi Smalls on the other end, talking the NFL tonight. Also looking at some NFC East action as well when we get back here on Sports by the Book on a Thursday morning.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south-of-the-border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside. Or maybe you're in the mood for seafood. Big Sur Oyster Bar has fresh seafood prepared right before your eyes. Savor freshly shucked oysters, crab legs jambalaya, shrimp and lobster. Beers on tap and a selection of fine wines are perfect to pair with your seafood favorite. Whether lunch or dinner, you'll love this fun atmosphere, located just off the casino floor. Ready to shake things up? Step back in time and treat yourself to one of the oldest restaurant chains in the country. Steak and Shake, famous for original mouth-watering steak burgers and hand-dipped milkshakes in a variety of flavors. For some old-fashioned fun, try Steak and Shake.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book here on a Halloween morning. Jeff Parles here at the South Point, as always, and now joining us, one of my favorites on Twitter. You can find her on there at Steffi Smalls, the Steffi Smalls Show as well. It is Smalls with us right now. Good morning. It's great to see you as always.
Morning. How's it going? Sorry I'm not wearing a costume or anything, but thanks for having me on.
It's all good. It's all good. I copped that. I just threw a jersey on, so we're all good on that. Well, there will be a Halloween costume or two at the Meadowlands here tonight. So let's start there. And you know, this line to some, as I mentioned in the first 15 minutes of the show, may not make a lot of sense to some. The Jets right now 2-point favorites across the board in this one against the Texans on a short week. Texans 6-2, Jets 2-6. Smalls, where do you come down on this game? Because this, I've had my thoughts on this game that I said earlier here.
Yeah, it's funny because I do believe that the Jets are going to win this game, but by no means are you going to find me putting money on this team that I do not think is a good football team. Comes down to kind of like what side of the ball from between both of these teams I think is better. I think the Texans defense, I'd rather put my eggs in that basket if I was going to bet on this game. It's going to be a gross one. I'd rather take a look at the props here for this game.
What props are you looking at here tonight?
Yeah, going ahead, looking at Garrett Wilson's longest reception, over 21.5. Over in 4 of the last 5. Other side, looking at Dalton Schultz, over 16.5 for his longest reception. Also like Will Anderson to go over a quarter sack, tied for the 3rd most this season. 5 sacks in the last 3 games, very dominant there. And then Dalton Schultz, we saw games last year that Nico Collins was out of, and we saw how Dalton Schultz could really step up for Stroud. I think Stroud needs to take advantage of having him on the field. I know the Jets have been quite good against the tight ends this season, but looking at that 42.5 receiving yards line, even if I took it up to 60 yards, honestly. So I do like Dalton Schultz. You can flirt around if you want. It depends how like spooky you want to get for Halloween. But those John Mechie lines, I know I've been tweeting about it nonstop. I was waiting for them to come out. Took the over on his receiving as well. Couldn't quite get there with Robert Woods, but I almost did it. Had to stop myself.
I had to remind myself that Robert Woods was still in the league, even though he was returning kicks earlier in the year. I'll just ask you this, because, look, we're both in the same camp long-term on the Jets. Even if they win tonight, it's really probably a mirage more so than anything. Yeah. But what about the Texans? What have you seen so far this year where the record's sparkly? They're 6-2, but they haven't been overtly impressive in this year, too, with the Stroud-Ryans combination.
Yeah, and I think I'm not as much off the boat as much as everyone else is. I think maybe, like, is it nice that they have a cushy record and they can kind of still put things together and peak a little bit later on? I do. I think if they do drop this game as the world thinks is going to happen, I'm going to look at their win total. If that can come down to 10.5, I'm going to take the over on it, I promise you. I'm not out on the Texans the way everyone else is. I think that they have a lot of injuries. I think they're figuring it out. I think it's Stroud's 2nd season. I'm not ready to say I'm out on the Houston Texans. We see teams every year wait to get hot. Is it a little bit later? Yeah, maybe, but I could see them kind of making a run here at the end of the season. I know I'm kind of sitting alone on that island, but I'm not quite out.
We're definitely on a more difficult schedule after tonight for Houston. They get Detroit next week, so we're going to learn a bunch about this Texans team over these next 2 games. All right, let's go to Sunday, Smalls, and let's go. Well, you know what? You're a Giants fan, so it's appropriate. Mm-hmm. We're going to be in the NFC East for all 3 of these games.
We are,
and let's start in Atlanta, where the Dallas Cowboys, who have been a mess for the most part this year, go to Atlanta to take on one of the more confusing teams in the NFL so far this year in the Falcons, who I think are pretty much in command now in the NFC South. They swept Tampa. They're a game clear with the 2-game tiebreaker on Tampa. The Saints stink. The Panthers stink. Kirk Cousins and company. Behind us, it's 3. There's a lot of 2.5 in the market as well on this game. With the Falcons at home hosting Dallas.
It feels gross. Falcons are off a big win. The Cowboys have been bad. And boy, I love it. As a Giants fan, this is awesome. The Cowboys are a disaster. The fans are freaking out. I do think that this is a spot to take the Cowboys, as sick as it makes me. I know they've been a disaster. Parsons is coming back. I think Dak is going to have a lot of time against this Atlanta defense. I think, you look at CD and Tolbert, longest receptions, their receiving yards. I like both of them there. I just think the Cowboys get this win here. Jerry gets to shut his fans up for 1 week. I know they kind of have the look ahead to the Eagles as well, but it's not really much of a look ahead because the Cowboys they're not sitting pretty right now. So they need a win wherever they can get it.
Yeah, Dallas just needs to stack some wins up here. And look, I just don't think they're all that good, even though last week was a weird one because they felt like they're kind of in control of that game at halftime, and then boom, the Niners woke up and really destroyed them in the second half, even though Dallas had the ball and a chance to win late in that game. The pick for Smalls there, the Cowboys against the Atlanta Falcons.
Gross.
Yeah, you said it. I didn't.
Yeah, I know. I did.
Let's go to Philly. Now, this was supposed to be Sunday night, but the Jags have been a big disappointment. So this game is that 4:05 Eastern kickoff here for this one. Now, the Eagles have started looking like a high-end team again these last few weeks. They really played a great game against Cincinnati. Obviously, they blew out your Giants. We'll get to them a little bit later. But this one's been a toggler. 7.5, 7. Now back to 7.5 on this game with Philadelphia. Total's been bet down as well. What are we looking at here with the Eagles more than a touchdown at home?
Yeah, everyone's going to doubt that I'm an NFC East fan because I like the Eagles here. They're getting hot at the right time. And I'll tell you one team that I do not like. I do not think is a good football team. I don't like the coaching. I don't like that they're doing a fire sale. I don't like that they just gave Cam Robinson to the Minnesota Vikings. I don't like that Trevor Lawrence gets 5.8 yards per attempt when he is on the road. I like the Eagles here. I think the Jaguars are a bad football team, and I'm not going to be betting on them. It's the same thing where I think every week people want to get cute with the Panthers. Panthers are not a good football team. You're not going to find me placing money on these bad football teams.
7.5 in this game. Smalls laying it with the Eagles. It's funny. Carolina's the 7-point underdog at home this week against New Orleans, and I'm kind of staring at it like I know New Orleans beat them by a billion. Oh boy, still not sure if Derek Carr it's coming back or not this week. All right, Smalls. One more game, and then I got one more question after this last game for you before we let you go here today. I got to do it. Of course, you're a Giants fan. It's been a miserable go of it for both New York teams, obviously, this year. They welcome Washington, who's been the biggest surprise in a positive way in the NFL this year. As high as 4, as low as 3.5 in this game. 44 to total. I'm just curious here. From the Giants' perspective, how do you stay in this game with the way that Washington's offense, other than last week, has looked elite for the last 2 months? And for the Giants, I mean, Daniel Jones is still awaiting that first MetLife Stadium touchdown in more than a calendar year at this point.
Yeah, another team that you really can't count on is the New York Giants. I think, one thing you can continue, you'll hear a lot of this week. I'm already seeing it where, the Giants and the Commanders. Giants always have the Commanders number. Yeah, well, the Commanders haven't had a quarterback like Jaden Daniels either. So I think that changes things. I know they didn't get a touchdown against us and still managed to beat us in our first match there. I think, the one thing that you can put on the Giants is that they have, their pass rush is very good. Doesn't really matter if you can't stop the run. You have Brian Robinson Jr. over there who is going to run all over this team. Daniel Jones has to get something going through the air. I think the biggest knock on this Commanders team is that I think their secondary is not good. I think their defense is a little bit of a mirage because of how well the offense is playing. So they can get to Jaden Daniels and stop the run. Maybe they stay in it, but again, we're not gonna be very pro Giants. I don't have many nice things to say about my football team these days.
Yeah, it's it'll be interesting to see what happens with the front office and Dable this offseason. I think we can guarantee that Daniel Jones is not going to be back, but Again, both of these MetLife teams, combined 4-12 so far this year, just continuing the decade-plus long of misery for both the Jets and the Giants. All right, Smalls, before we let you go, I do want to ask you this. MVP-wise, and I know the MVP market's very hard at this time of the year because, as we saw last year, Brock Purdy was over a $2 favorite on Christmas Day, has a horrible game, and then obviously Lamar almost is unanimous last year. Right now, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are your co-favorites. Then Mahomes somehow is still your third favorite. Goff is the only other guy sub 10-1. Do you think it's going to be one of those top 4 guys, or would you just look down the board and say, you know what, this race usually gets decided in December. Let's see if someone else gets hot these last 2 months.
Yeah, it's interesting because kind of like I brought up, my head kind of goes right to like if you're gonna look down the board, I'm probably looking towards a CJ Stroud. I like the guys at the top of the board. I think Jared Goff is making a very convincing case. I think he's playing really good football. I think people want to hate on Jared Goff, and as much as you want to do it, you cannot knock what he is doing in Detroit.
We on our football show in the afternoon, Smalls. We said 18-1. He got a bet it 2 weeks ago. We're on it, so we're hoping Goff can get there. Now 8-1, 9-1, the best number out there on Jared Goff. You can find Steffi Smalls on her own show, the Steffi Smalls Show. Get her on the tweets as well. At Steffi Smalls, right there. Of course, one of my favorite follows on Twitter across the board right now. Smalls, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for hanging this morning.
Appreciate you. Good luck betting tonight.
Oh, yes, absolutely. You as well. Good luck on your plays. All those props that Smalls is on here tonight. All right. Before we go, a quick shout out to the chat. John's in there. And did we ever figure out who Blade Nicotera is? No? Blade Nicotera is in there as well. Shout out to everyone in the chat this morning. All right, real quick. We're going to the NBA first. Just lining through these games here. Bucks are 6.5-point favorites against the Grizzlies. Now, this is classic NBA stuff here. Grizzlies yesterday lose at home to the Nets, who are not good. Curious to see who suits up for Memphis. Now, both Milwaukee and Memphis are off to bad starts. Bucks are 1-3. By the way, Doc Rivers on a nice 34-win pace so far in his coaching career as the Milwaukee Bucks coach. Pretty good. We could have told you that was not going to work there in Milwaukee. This would only be, I want to see who's playing for Memphis, but this would only be a take with the Grizz at home at 6.5. Dallas is 6.5 at home against Houston tonight. This one I'm staying away from. I can't get a gauge of the Rockets so far because the market, I hate to say this, but it kind of feels like the market overreacted to that horrible first game against Charlotte on opening night. And then since then, the Rockets they beat Memphis pretty handily, split 2 games in San Antonio that were decided by a combined 8 points. I don't know if the Rockets are valued correctly in the market at the moment through this first week of the season. San Antonio's in Utah tonight. Spurs, we'll see if Wemby's able to go tonight. If he's not, this would be a play on Utah. If he is, we are probably staying off of this completely. And then the final game on the NBA card tonight, the Clippers host the Suns for the second time in a week. Suns won the first matchup in overtime. Suns have been backwards from what they were a year ago. They were the worst team in the fourth quarter last year. They've been the worst team in the NBA through a week plus this year. This would only be a look at Phoenix in-game, guys. It worked against the Clippers on opening night. That would be the only way I would look for this game here in the Intuit Dome there in Inglewood. Hockey real quick. 3 games I'm looking at tonight. We're starting north of the border in Toronto. The Leafs hosting the Kraken. It opened Leafs $2. Now it's minus 190. But I'm looking at the total here, looking to this over. The market has played this to the under. But I am looking to over 6.5 on the Kraken and the Maple Leafs. Again, just don't trust the goaltending in this game more so than anything. The second game on the list, Blues at the Flyers. Flyers have been bet up from minus 130 now to minus 150. This I was fully prepared to give the Flyers a minus 130, but now I can't give it a minus 150. We'll see if this price comes down. If you can get, I would say minus 140 is the best number the worst of the numbers I would lay on Philadelphia at this point. That would be what I would look at on the Flyers end. And then the final one, the Blackhawks at the Sharks. Ryan McCormick's Blackhawks get mentioned. Been a while since I've mentioned them. They're $1.50 favorites on the road against the all of a sudden red-hot San Jose Sharks. Lost their first 9, have won 2 in a row, and we're going back to the well for win number 3 in a row for San Jose. I was hoping to get a little bit more than plus 130. Yeah, very good. But we're on the Sharks here tonight against the Hawks, looking for 3 straight wins for San Jose. All right. That's what we got for you. Also, I didn't even mention the baseball. Dodgers, of course, win the World Series last night. The betting favorite the whole year gets home. Doesn't happen very often in Major League Baseball. Right now, Chris and Company open next year's World Series already. Dodgers are the favorites. No shock there at 4-1, followed by the Yankees at 6-1. And then the only other team sub 10-1 is the Atlanta Braves, who had a lot of injuries this year at 9-1. All right. Happy Halloween, everyone. Good luck on all your bets. Hopefully they're treats, not tricks. We got a full loaded slate of shows here today. We're 40% of the way through, right? We had Ralph Sirocco, Race Day Las Vegas. We had this edition of Sports by the Book. Coming up in 25 minutes from now, Gone Racing. Brennan Gahn, Jeff Motley get you ready as we are getting down the stretch in the NASCAR season. Frank Nicotero is back at noon on Punchlines FN on YouTube. And then this show is back at 3, Football Frenzy, myself, Ryan McCormick. Get you ready for Thursday Night Football in the National Football League. We'll see you again then, right here on Sports by the Book.